Good morning, my lovely stitchy friends. It's Rebecca from Hedgerow Stitching coming to you on Sunday the 20th of February 2022. I hope you're all well and enjoying your day. I thought today, I haven't got any stitching to show, but I thought I would go through my Scarlet Letter charts, and some of them are kitted, some of them have been started, and I thought you may be interested in seeing them. So I've got my coffee in my mug, and this is actually my son's mug of the planets. I like it because it's quite a large one. So I've got my coffee and I've got my specs, and let's get going. Okay, I've just got a pile of charts here, and I'll go through and show you what I have got in my stash. First off, I have got my book of days, and this is my February page. Although it looks quite busy, it's mainly sort of what I've been up to, but not really. There is stitching in there, but mainly other things. So, right, first off, you've all seen this chart. This is one I have in my stash. It's become very popular over the last few years, and mine will have to be a restart. I've got some of the silks, and I'm wanting to do it on a green fabric, 40 count, and this is a picture on the back here. It's got a lot of fill-in green on the back, and I was going to use one of the Fox and Rabbit fabrics for this. I just need to get a piece large enough. I have got a piece in my stash, but it wasn't big enough. So I'm all ready to go on that, waiting for the fabric. I'm just going to throw them down there because otherwise we won't get through them all. This is my stitchy table, which is a little bit wobbly. So I'm planning to revamp this stitchy area up here, and I'm going to take you on my travels and show you like before and after photographs, so you can appreciate exactly what I've got here in my stitchy room. So that will be coming up, something for the future. My next sampler is, this is quite actually very early one, is 1651, and this is in the V&A Museum, and it's called, it's one of my favourites actually, Martha Salter sampler, and I have actually started Martha just a tiny bit, and let me think what the fabric is. I didn't look up the fabric before I filmed, so that's my little start on Martha. And I'm doing her on, not sure, 40 count something, and these are the threads of Aeroswar silk, and I made a little thread keep. You can see that there. So that's lovely Martha. I will get back to that one at some stage. Next up is, I think this is quite an old one. This is 1780, and well, I have to put my glasses on, I can't see. 1780, and it's got a four-sided strawberry border, and it's an English sampler, and it has the verse of Jesus permit thy gracious name to stand, which is a very common verse, and this is called Sophia's sampler. It's very, very pretty. And my start on this one, I'm doing this with silks, and oh, actually it's got the fabric here. The fabric is 40 count vintage light exemplar. So this is 40 count vintage light exemplar, and I've got a very tiny start. I started this last year. A couple of strawberries, that's all, a meagre start. So poor old Sophia will have to get a little bit of attention. And these are the colours. Very pretty colours. My light's giving a little bit of shadow today. And the floss, silks, and I made this thread drop. It's of a spaniel. Those of you in the UK, I hope you're all coping with Storm Eunice and that your fences have stayed up and you do have power. We didn't have power for a short period, but we still have gas if we have a power cut, and we still have hot water. So, excuse my squeaky chair. So we weren't too badly affected by it, but I do know that lots of people have still not got power. Okay, right. The next one is in the Fitzwilliam Museum, and it was 1720 Dorcas stitched this, and the Scarlet Letter produced this in the year 2000. And this is Dorcas Haynes. Now I've seen a lot of people stitch this on Instagram. This is an old one. And I think in previous videos I've showed the difference between the photographs. So that's the photograph on the cover, and that is a more of a representation of what the actual sampler looks like. This is just a copy of the coming out of a book somewhere. So it gives you a little bit of a difference. So don't always go by the photograph, but seasoned stitchers know that anyway. She's so pretty. I have started this one, but I can't find the actual bit, but I'm up in the left-hand corner, so really not much to see. And I'm doing this one on silk, with silks as well. Let's put that over there. Okay, this one I have started. Oh, let me tell you, I think she's English. Yeah, Dorcas Haynes. She was a Quaker born in Bermondsey, Middlesex in 1710 to Thomas and Hannah Haynes. She married Richard Adams in 1729, and it's got double running stitch, counted satin, queen detached buttonhole, queen stitches, sorry, detached buttonhole, closed herringbone, double diagonal back stitch, eyelets, Parisian, which I'll have to look up what that one is, Florentine, bullion knots and tent stitches. That's a lot of different stitches to learn, but she still excites me today, so I'm thrilled to be able to have that in my collection. Oh no, that's a different one. I'll do that one later. And then these are really just going through my patterns that I have available in my possession. So I'll just run through these. This is one of my favourites, and this is one of the first ones that I bought when I sort of got into floss tube and really found lots of different sampler resources. And this is a fine early English band sampler, and it's called AW 1662 by the Scarlet Letter, and this was produced in 2012. I haven't got any fabric for this one. It's a regular cross stitching, making it suitable for any skill level, and you can replace the Montenegrin stitch with cross stitch if you prefer. And I do apologise, some of these charts are not available anymore. You probably find them on the secondary market, but I don't think they are on her website. This is Reece, 1842, another English sampler, and the girl who stitched this, her father was, it says, employed by the East Indian Company. So it's a very pretty sampler with a honeysuckle border, a house, a bird, a cockerel, butterfly rose, and a tiger. I've looked at this one a couple of times to see whether I would start it or not, and I think I'm just saving up for the silks. And there's a picture of the pretty border on the back. So that's a very pretty border sampler. A couple of these I think are possibly still available. This one is 2011 and is a Boston needlework from the collection of the American Folk Art Museum in New York. And this is circa 1748, and it's Hannah Carter, the lady in the pink dress. I think McKenna of 1884 Stitchery has stitched this one, or stitched one similar to this. McKenna, I can't remember if you've done this one or not. And this, I think, is just cross stitch. Any skill level, cross stitch over one thread only. Oh, 25 count linen. But that's a very pretty sampler. I think I could possibly do that on a green background as well. Save all the full coverage nonsense. I like full coverage, but I've only started one and I've got about that much done on it. The next one is another chart produced in the year 2000, so an old one, and this is in the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh, and it is a sampler which shows flame stitch, and it's stitched in tent stitch, otherwise known as a Florentine stitch, and the lower flap is done in rice stitch, and it is called the Hunting Pocket. Now, I started this one a long time ago, and I was just going to do this top piece here, and I started up here. I had some blue fabric, and for some reason I just didn't continue it, but I still love this one, and I think what I'll do is the main top piece here. I'd love to do this, but I think I would possibly get a little burnt out on all these stitches, but I'm going to, when I do start this one, do this area here first, and then I thought I would make it into a needle bag or needle roll. So that's my Hunting Pocket one. Really, really pretty. Okay, I must be drawn to her old samplers. Okay, 2000, this one is, let me just read this quickly. Doesn't say where it's from. Oh, early 18th English century, around 1737, and this one is called Rising Doves, and another lady with a red dress and doves. Not many of these are kitted. I only usually kit them if I know I'm going to start them. Okay, this is 1999, Scarlet Letter, Mary Gayle, circa 1788, and it suggests, because of the naive style of the figures, suggests that it's an American sampler. And I do have a piece of fabric in here. I think that looks quite like a sort of gingerbread or sand colour fabric it's stitched on, and the one I have got marked out for this is this fabric, which is 40 count, and I dyed it myself, and I can tell that this is a hand dyed piece of fabric because just here you can see it's got some blue marks where I corrupted the dye pot obviously with something, or the dye was very wasn't dissolved enough in the water, but I'm fine with that, I can do that. So that's my piece of hand dyed linen from a long time ago, and I think that would look nice with on Mary Gayle. Sort of a gingery colour. Don't know if you can really see that very well, but that's my piece I've put in here for when I want to start her. Leave that one. Okay, the next Scarlet Letter chart is 2002, so we're getting further up their dates. Circa 1640, so another old one, and published in like the motifs are directly traced from drawings in a pattern book by someone called Peter Stent, published in England in the 17th century. So I better do some research on Peter Stent pattern books, see if I can find out any information on them. And this is the spot motif embroidery chart. So we have here a hunting scene at the bottom. You've got a little dog and a stag, and got some monkeys in the centre, a dog or a lion at the top here, and another beast of some description in the corner. So all drawings taken from this book or series of pattern books by Peter Stent. So more to come on Peter Stent. I actually might write that down. So whenever I'm watching FlossTube or any sort of YouTube videos, I have a pucker pad which I write down all the things I've seen or found because my memory is rubbish. Peter Stent's pattern book. The only thing is I don't mark it or anything, so in terms of sewing or quilting or categories, so I have to keep going back and looking through all the pages, but I enjoy it. The wind is blowing outside. We've still got the remnants of the storm that's been going on. Okay, another oldie but a goodie is 2001, and this is probably made in Northern England or Scotland, and it says here project recommended for intermediate level needle workers, and this is the flame stitch sampler. Absolutely gorgeous, this one. I would do this one in silk, and I've not kitted or thought of any fabric for this one. It's got a sort of pale background at the top, but I'm not sure what I would do that one on. These are all ones that I'm going to do when I retire, of course. This is one of my favourites as well. Obviously I live in the southwest of the UK, and there's so much history down here. And this one is, I think this is possibly the oldest one, 1998, this was produced, and it's a band sampler from the 1660s, and it's in the Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge. I'm not sure if these samplers are all on show at the Fitzwilliam. I don't think so, but I'm sure if you were around that area, Cambridge, and you wanted to see the samplers, if you got in touch with the curator and arranged an appointment, I'm sure she'd be perfect. They would be perfectly happy to show you the samplers. And this is to incorporate politics and the history of England, and it's called Boscope Oak, a band sampler, really old one. And it's all linked to Charles II's restoration. And I think the West, if I'm correct, the West Country people sheltered Charles II before he was, before he flew England. So they offered him protection. Okay, this is from 1990. So even earlier than the other one I've just showed you. So we're going back to 1990. I think this one takes the prize for the oldest one. And this is in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. Don't think she's on display, but again, if you wanted to see the samplers, just get in touch with the curator. And this is 17th century sampler, lovely intricate pattern with colour variations. Let me see, it doesn't say, oh, it says cross stitch, Montenegrin stitch, double running, back stitch, eyelet and tent are all clearly diagrammed in the instructions. And this is Anne Scott sampler of 1675. So Anne Scott. I like how Scarlet Letter, they always have a little like depiction of that sort of time history in their patterns. I really like that. Moving on. Okay, the next one is 2007, and this was circa 1730. And this is a canvas work picture made in England, and it has the influence of Turkish, Indian and Chinese, as well as Venetian designs, and depicts a rural English scene. King's Shepherd. This is possibly another full coverage. I suppose you could get away with doing it on the pale blue, and then it's got this dark green background again. And the little shepherd with his pipe and his sheep. I think this is actually, yeah, this is actually in the design. So you've got some full coverage filling in design here. Sorry, I thought it was the frame, but no, it's the design there. So that is the Piping Shepherd. Okay, going on. 2002, the Scarlet Letter. Let me see. Hornbooks are functioned primers are used to teach young children their letters. This one is recommended for any skill level, and it's called a Hornbook Bestiary, produced in 2002. So a primer for young children to learn their letters and numbers. And on the back, she's got a really interesting picture of an original primer. Hornbook, sorry. With all the detail in there. And there's quite a lot of information online about hornbooks. And I know lots of stitchers like to mount their fabric pieces on hornbooks. So that's that one. Okay. 2008. Scarlet Letter. This is Eliza Cox, and she stitched this when she was 10 in 1838, and it's an English sampler. You'd think it may be American with that barn type house, but it's actually English. Sorry, hold it properly. Eliza Cox. For UK stitchers, Scarlet Letter isn't shipping overseas at the moment for a short time. I don't know if that's going to change any time in the future, but if you know anybody who is in the States and would be happy to purchase the chart and send it over to you, that's probably the easiest way to get hold of them. I did have a comment on my previous video about locating Scarlet Letter charts in the UK, and there are some available, but very few. Most of them on the secondary market are found from the States. But also I used to do direct shipping. I used to wait and save up and get a few charts at a time, but she no longer ships to the UK, so they may be a little bit difficult to find. Hopefully that will change in the future. This is an American sampler, and the date on this is 1999, and it's an undated American sampler, probably around 1820, and it's unusual because it displays a pair of Quaker birds in a branch motif on the left and lower right, and a crop of queen stitched strawberries between the castle and the house, fronted by a pasture with a sheep and a cow. And this has cross stitch, queen stitch, counted satin and rice, and it's called Heaven Is My Hope. I think the Quaker bits are these motifs here, which identify it as a Quaker piece. Another lovely chart. Only two more to go, and this is, oh, this was a chart that was gifted to me by the lovely April of April, May, June Designs, and this is 1994 Scarlet Letter, and it's a sampler in the possession of the Fitzwilliam Museum again in Cambridge, 1680, so another early one, a band sampler, and this is Marie Abbott. And it says recommended for intermediate to advanced level needle workers. Double running, Montenegrin, regular cross, fern, eyelet tent, counted satin and zigzag. So Maria Abbott. So there. Okay, and then my last pattern from the lovely Scarlet Letter is 1995 and is 1661, again in the Fitzwilliam Museum, and this is a really old sampler, band sampler. It has, I don't know why I bought this one, because it has either white work or cut work at the top, and I know I can't do that, but I think I bought this, I was obviously on, I love Scarlet Letter charts, and I couldn't resist. And this one has got, oh I know, I got it for all the flowers that are on it. So it's got a section of white work, bands featuring roses, acorns, honeysuckle, pomegranate, pansies and daisies, counted cross stitch, Montenegrin stitch, buttonhole filling, double running, Croatian flat, whatever a Croatian flat is, queen stitch, faggot stitch, that's interesting, seeding and rice stitch, recommended for more advanced needleworkers. And this is, sorry, Maryhurst, 1661. Nice long thin band sampler. And to be able to stitch all these samplers, quite some time ago, when I started doing videos, I came across this book, which is, I think, invaluable in a stitcher's library. And this is The Proper Stitch by Darlene Osteen. So if you haven't got this book, go out and find it. It's an amazing resource for all sorts of different stitches. It has techniques, very clear, well documented, good explanations, and it does actually give you in the back various samplers. to, so it has about 3 or 4 patterns in the back, charts that you can use. And also it gives close-ups of the techniques. And then of course you've got the wonderful YouTube videos where lots of people post how to do stitches, and if you're not near a guild or you don't live near any other stitchers who'd be able to help you, this is an invaluable tool. Just finish my coffee. So everybody, that's it from me today. Hopefully I'll have a little bit of stitching to show you next time. I'm working on a Scottish design at the moment. I've been doing other crafts and I have actually had stitching on the back burner for a short period, but that will all change, and as we know, stitchy bugs come and go. I haven't lost my stitchy bug, but I've just been concentrating on some other projects for some up and coming retreats that I'm attending. So anyway, I hope you're all well and having a good stitchy weekend. I'm going to go now, finish my coffee and go and make some bread, and I will catch you all again soon. Okay, take care everybody. I'll see you shortly. Bye bye.